Hello students, I have a combination video for you this week. We're going to start out talking about your voice in creative nonfiction and then move on to charitable honesty. I have to jam these two together because I missed one last week. My apologies. The first thing to remember about your voice in creative nonfiction is that you should care about what you're writing about. And I've tried to set it up in the assignment so that you are definitely going to care about the thing that you choose to write about. This is going to be apparent to your reader. They will know immediately that you care about this thing as long as you let it show. And that means that your personality is good for this. Letting people hear your voice the way you would say it to someone that you trust, someone who cares about what you have to say, that's important for this. This is not a research paper, even if you do end up doing some research. If you try to find some statistics to make it clear why a larger audience should care about the thing you're talking about, your writing doesn't have to be formal. It can be conversational. Or it can be formal sometimes and conversational other times. If you look at the David Foster Wallace or the Roxane Gay essays, even the David Sedaris essay, all of these get a little formal sometimes, at least. I mean, Wallace gets very formal a bunch of times, but they all let the personalities show in other places. And that voice that you share is going to have an effect on your audience. It's going to change the way they respond to the material that you share with them. And the voice, the conversational tone or the formal tone is going to have as much of an effect maybe as the material itself. It's going to be able to draw your reader in. So go ahead and talk about this the way that you want to talk about it. So when you're writing, it's important to be vivid, especially when you're recounting personal experiences. You want to make those sensory details clear to your reader. You want the reader to be able to see, feel, etc., everything that you experienced. But your writing should be comfortable to you. It should be in your voice. These are people who chose to read what you had to write. They came to this wanting to hear your opinion on this thing. You are an expert. Be comfortable talking about the thing that you're an expert in. What this means is you should be natural. I know I've said this a few times, but be natural. Go ahead and be conversational if you want. Use whatever kind of writing style works for you. Whatever is going to work for you and for your audience. And finally, I know I've said this about everything, and I really, really mean it. Read your work out loud. Anytime you are going to be sharing writing with someone else, read it out loud and make sure it sounds the way you want it to sound. All right, our next portion of this video is on charity and honesty in the personal essay. So if you've read the David Sedaris essay, which is on Blackboard for this week, you'll know that he tells some painful truths, not just about himself, but about the rest of his family. And that's kind of Sedaris's deal as an essayist, is exposing these really awkward, uncomfortable situations about his family. When we say tell the truth in creative nonfiction, it often looks like insulting or being mean. All of the authors so far have definitely done this in this unit, and they're very blunt at any rate. But when you're telling the truth about people, when you're being blunt, when you're being honest, it's important for you to have some charity toward your subjects. In the case of Gay and Wallace, they're trying to be humorous when they talk about the people on the airplanes, when they talk about the people at the food festivals. They're trying to make you laugh. To some extent. Humor, though, can come off as being mean if your audience isn't on board with you. So it's important while you are telling the truth about people, pointing out their foibles, pointing out their flaws, it's important for you to show compassion for them, to make it clear that they are an actual human being who wants to do the right thing as they see it. So David Sedaris is humorous. He is more than the others known as a humorist, but he tries to avoid being mean in his humor by showing that his sister is doing a great thing, even when she feels like she's doing the wrong thing. And he also makes it clear that he is a worse person than she is, which we could maybe debate this. I don't know, you can let me know if you disagree with this, but he shows how he is not a great person in this situation and that his sister is great. So he's trying to avoid the situation where he's mean or pretentious or seems judgmental. So when you're writing about people that you know, which you're probably going to do for this assignment, you need to remember that there are very few people who are only good or only bad. People are complicated. And writing nonfiction, writing actual truth about situations, means trying to find everything that is true about the situation. Trying to provide a nuanced look at life. So this sort of thing can be difficult. It's important for you, when you're writing about other people, to try to empathize with them, understand where they're coming from. And this is really important when you're writing about people you know, even people that you have complicated relationships with. It's really good to understand what their lives are like and try to get at that. Try to get at the truth of their situation. So this brings us to our writing exercise for the week, which you can find on Blackboard. I want you to choose someone that you know, someone you have a generally good relationship with, and I want you to write about the worst thing you have ever seen them do. And when you're doing that, you should write it from your perspective, write the experience from your perspective, but I want you to include their perspective. Why do you think they did it? How does it mesh with their character? Make your audience, if you can, understand why they might have done this bad thing. And what does that tell us about them? How can we understand them more as a human?